Everybody say. There we go. Alrighty. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Azakai here. I'm gonna bring you the 11th day of the House Legion League. We are getting very close to the finishing of the scoring phase. By Monday next week, that should be all of the matches. So we've got quite a few. So we only have a very few days left. So, but tonight right now we have BLK versus SVS, DVD versus CBEL, and then later tonight we have TNK versus BODS and Eon versus OPC. I will be watching the TNK BODS battle later, but right now we'll be watching the BLK versus the SVS. And I'm gonna be real with you. I definitely do think that the changes to the Axe Raiders and the Houndsmen, very positive and very strong. I mean, getting those Houndsmen to have stronger hounds is straight up buff, of course. They're not exactly super tanky, but fascinating thing about the dogs, or the hounds in this case, is they're very difficult to hit because of how fast they are and because normal attacks won't really hit them very well. Brace style units are classically extraordinarily good against the dog because they will basically hit regardless, but units that really struggle against hitting these dogs are units that really rely on things like charge, that don't deal instant damage, by the way. They need to finish an animation in order to hit. So classically, one of the strategies to kind of just take 0 damage from infantry charges is just to walk away. Classically, if you just walk away, normally 1 or 2 of your guys might get hit, but they won't take. But they might not take all of the hits because you're walked out of the attack range. But not such the case for cavalry. But cavalry do kind of really struggle to hit fast-moving targets, of course. But a good old charge will just probably sweep them out. So there are some difficulties when dealing with houndsmen. Again, there are certain units that will do really well against them, and certain units that will really struggle against them. All in all, I do think having percentage health bleed effect is kind of I don't like percentage-based bleed effects or percentage-based attacks at all. That's just how I roll. I don't really like them, mainly because it's basing the power of yourself on the strength of others, which runs contrary to what I think how balance should work. When you have skills or when you have abilities that rely on how powerful your enemy is, it's a little bit iffy, to say the least. I do think that some attack down, some debuffs are okay, but it is rocking on that, basing the strength of those things being based on the power of that person. So having percentage-based damage is always one where it fundamentally changes or fixate the relationship that is much difficult to mitigate because there is no mitigating factor, especially since in Conqueror's Blade, bleed effects are not affected by damage resistance and not affected by armor, which I do think should come in more into effect because you just get a lot of these mechanics which bypasses some of the fundamental systems in these scenarios, but you just end up with a really faulty relationship because they disregard a lot of these mechanics. So far, it does look like SVS only has 12 people. I do think there was a struggle the last time. SVS did have 15 guys before, so never mind that. I thought they were one of the teams that was struggling to get 15 players, but they are not. We have BLK versus SVS here on Kurak Castle, not White Elk Fort, which has been very, very popular. I think Kurak Castle comes in second, with Linwu Fortress coming in third, though there's not very many options as it is. I think there's 5 options in total. Angolia is one of them, and I don't think anyone chooses Angolia. Everyone basically hates Angolia. White Elk Fort does seem to be the favorite of the pick, but it has been one of the ones that have been reworked, and fascinatingly enough, I kind of understand for the most part that the map itself is actually pretty biased in terms of defender advantage. There are a lot of restrictions for the defender at the beginning of the battle, but that restriction really hampers the attackers more than the defenders in the long run. Be that as it may, I might be misinterpreting the effect of the results as an effect of defender or attacker bias, when it could be just other factors such as the artillery changes for these House Legion leagues. Now we have a 15v15. We should see the first battle start up very shortly, but I hope you guys enjoy the show. I do think we should have a very interesting match today. Random rogue boat BODS here. Does look like probably one of the streamers. I find it just very funny that he's just rocking here. What I also want to point out is Axe Raiders are very fascinating of a unit when you look at every other unit in comparison. They've got a couple of things which are bonkers. They got a couple of things which are extraordinarily powerful. One of the most powerful features that the Axe Raiders have is their defense down. It's a 200 defense down, and this is kind of similar to Fenris, but the most interesting thing here is their defense down is solely tied to their axe throw, not their double axe throw. Do mind that. Their axe throw, which is their natural range attack in B mode. So that's always just an awkward thing. Or maybe I'm just being wrong here, and it's actually related to all axe throws. I'm not even sure if it actually relates to their normal attacks either. It would be cool if it did affect their normal attacks as well, but I do think that the 200 defense down makes them absolutely terrifying against units who rely on high armor, and the 200 points up to stacks up to 3 times, by the way, would basically send nearly any normal unit down to 0, is the first part, and even some of the high-end units would basically be as squishy as surf units after getting hit by these Axe Raiders. So these Axe Raiders are extraordinarily effective against both high and low armor units. So I can definitely see these guys come in and really fill that skirmisher role. They're fast is the first thing. They're quite resilient because of their good old passive, which has been, hasn't been changed really. But one of the things that made them easier to deal with was they used to get the damage taken increase when they get CC'd, but now that's been removed. So I do know that the patch notes kind of says the 30% damage buff, but this is not a buff per se. It's not a damage buff. It's a damage taken buff. Technically. So it's a negative buff, how to say. It's a negative buff. So I do think what the patch notes are referring to is the 30% damage taken when they get CC'd or affected by any of those CCs. So these guys should be way stronger, way more difficult to kill as of late. So I definitely do think we'll see them pop up now and again. Probably some specialized roles. I do think they should be fairly popular. Um, they have historically been able to clobber even Fortebraccios very easily. Pikemen should get absolutely destroyed by them. Shield units also should struggle. They have the axe throwers do quite a bit of block break, but as you can see, no axe raiders. Still got a lot of Fortebraccios as expected. Some random men at arms. Shield pick from SVS does seem to be quite a few, but a lot of Memialones. BLK using those Memialones to probably beat out the shielded and the pikemen. Definitely need to just clear the map of those Fortebraccios. When there's not enough Fortebraccios on the field to stop the cavalry comes in and destroys everything. We got plenty of moles coming out from BLK as well. So moles is definitely one of the more popular classes in the heavy armor classes, though. I do suspect that both of these teams are kind of in the lower tiers of team. Not to say that they are bad. It's just that their potential is lower. With a lot of heavy armors, you can expect them to fight for a long time, and definitely rely more on unit superiority rather than hero superiority. So we're kicking off. Everyone getting a good spread out. We got 5 Fortebraccios on the field, most of them heading towards the front section. We got some easy trebs immediately, and we have some Falconettis here on the right. Not sure what kind of defensive style that SVS was going to take here on Turret Castle. It's a nice change from a lot of the White Elk Fort we've been seeing lately, but we don't really have much to expect besides a hail storm of artillery. Does seem there is a catapult and lots of war rockets in the back here. Double catapults in the back, very interesting. Falconettis do shoot for a long range, but they're not that long. Probably quarter of the map is as far as they go. Probably from a higher elevation they can get probably a third. Halfway across the map? Unlikely. So we got some good shots coming here on the right-hand one. Right-hand one probably going to get destroyed. Left-hand siege tower not making any headway. Of course, the middle siege tower is already destroyed. Front gate is destroyed on this map. Again, probably one of the maps where it's very difficult to control the front gate, but you should always keep an eye on it. Anyway, situation of how the inside and the top side are layered. It does make an interesting layout for how people can abuse the wall and go through the front gate. But one of the most difficult thing is going through any defense on an angle. And I'll be real with you, it would just be quite silly just to have your guys stand there and tank it. If anything, that is still a very valuable unit. If you were going to just leave any unit in front, I'd definitely put some serfs. I do think people underestimate the power of underestimate the effect on artillery in the long run. Them killing your units one by one, although it seems like it's a bit of a waste, it's still killing your units. Artillery, for the most part, near the end of the game, hit open air and don't really have very much of an effect. Got some Yanyu now here. Not that it's going to be very effective. We got a wall climber. Feel like I've seen this before. Matalator could be a surprise, and it is. One smackaroony, big smackaroony. Oh, can he get? Wow, how many did he kill here? Killed 4 of them so far. This mole being very difficult to knock off. And of course he does the good old sliding trick. Again, very difficult to kind of not have that in. Sliding tricks, especially down ladders or slopes. Just the kind of thing. Now, going through the front gate is one move that I'd never advise, because one of the most difficult things about the front gate, whoa, we got a couple of retreaters as well, is the awkwardness of the battlefield. And obviously, you got some guys coming in directly from the front. Flamers there on the left-hand side, burning. SBS doing a really good job at holding that front line, though. A lot of charge units probably try to charge in, but a lot of backup units just unable to break through that shield wall. And we're going to probably run into a lot of those cases where the shield wall is really unaffected by most things, especially other units. ISGs are spectacularly difficult to kill. But that doesn't mean some good old flamers won't murder them. Flamers, of course, do not care about how much armor you have or damage resistance. Their damage is pure, as in, no, Soldier, looks like it is a 15v15. It shouldn't be a 14v15, unless someone DC'd permanently. I don't think so. Does look like the 15v15. It should be a 15v15 because I did check the. Well, I mean, unless someone. I mean, I haven't noticed anyone DC permanently. And of course, look at the top. 15 attackers, 15 defenders right now. Defenders are in blue. So, off to a really bad start for BLK. Can't really get those siege towers up to open up the wall for them. And going through the front gate obviously did not work out. Probably much more heavier losses than I probably checked. But the difference here is quite staggering. About 400 unit difference. Whoa! Did someone just instantly died from a trip? Must have got hit twice, or it was low health there. Now, my axe can't handle. It's no surprise that a siege tower destruction strategy has come in. I do believe with 30 available artillery, it would be even more likely that maps will probably be controlled by siege towers again. This is probably the only time a team has kind of heavily guarded themselves. And of course, mounting up for another assault at the front gate. BLK is televising their strategy fairly heavily here. Now, I'll be honest here, even in TW, this is kind of hell. You're being at the front line and you need to go. Once the attack starts, you cannot actually slow down, because the moment you slow down, you stop creating space for those behind you. And when the people behind you get scared, they'll stop as well. So now there's a line here, and everyone in front of this line instantly dies. And the defenders hold this, and you're just getting a rain of arrows, actually. Interesting to see I would say, a prefecture archer there. And of course, the remainder of BLK just getting completely rinsed out from that front gate. Now, it's a bit awkward for BLK to even do anything in this scenario. After two heavy losses, two gigantic losses, the gap between the teams have increased to almost 600, more than 180 at the very least, and oh no, 560. Sorry. It's actually very surprising it took so long for a control battle like this, where the number of avenues that BLK has available to them is so minimal that they have to take the hard road in. The unfortunate thing here is that because SVS has done this to BLK, the reverse is also possible. So we might be seeing a very, very defensive BLK destroying the siege towers as well. But they could also choose to let the siege towers up and can be contested in other areas. I do think this is a very simple strategy, but it's still far in between extraordinarily effective. I do think that... Whoa, we got some monks here out on top of the wall. Probably a climb would have been really interesting. Again, not to be underestimated, but a climb is quite... can be quite dangerous if you're not prepared, and especially when a lot of guys come through. Water brushes from both sides, so a lot of cavalry just charging in parallel, getting skewered as they rush through. So we have some Varangian guards out on the field. Very unfortunate unit nowadays. They are chock full of things, but right now they're just really weak in the meta. And of course, BLK is running out of troops. It would be unwise for them to continue the battle at all anyway. Giving it a good shot, though. Unfortunately, they did not come up with an alternative on the fly. I do think once you try something once, trying it again is foolish. You would need to bait your enemy into thinking something else than your primary strategy. Going through the front gate hasn't worked out 3 times, and I think trying it out a second time is one too many. Trying once is great. Trying it 3 times in a battle, not so much. Already losing out massively. You gotta try thinking of other strategies. And BLK does choose to forfeit. But then again, not all of their members have left just yet. Do remember that leaving all 15 members leaving the battle is an automatic forfeit, since the other win condition is for there to be no enemies. And you can kill the attackers until there's literally no one left. Similar to the defenders, but it's much harder since the defenders do have a protection spawn very close by. An uninteresting battle, but interesting in strategy. It's still very surprising that it took so long for this kind of control strategy to appear, and I definitely do think that SVS holding BLK in the front gate is a difficult strategy to break, but BLK didn't really use their artillery very much. I do realize that probably what BLK should have started doing is putting a lot of mortars breaking up the front gate. If they were planning to go through the front gate, they lacked a lot of preparation. So I do think, now that I think about it, there should have been an answer in terms of artillery for that particular style of defense. So, lack of artillery, first thing from BLK. BLK definitely needs to start using their artillery a bit more aggressively, a bit more intelligently, because there's a lot of scenarios where artillery can solve your issue, and a wall hold like that can easily be solved by building a lot of mortars on the at angles, really easy to hit inside. And once you start breaking up those formations, especially even if you just break up one, you get that space in, you get to start pushing the defense, and you break through. So, unfortunate from BLK. I do think they are not very adaptable. They are struggling, and I thought they would at least put up a better fight at the very least. But then again, unit-wise, fighting is not really much of anything nowadays. Most of the time, we either get complete wipes by cavalry, we get complete wipes by artillery, or get complete wipes by flamers. Flamers have really come up as a all-star unit. They really dictate a fight. The existence of the flamers has pushed a lot of, or how to say, have decisively won battles for teams many a times. We also have the alternative of the Ball Boys, but they really are supplementary to the force rather than um, a force on their own. So you'll see that a Ball doesn't really a Ball well the Zilki Zykilian Zychelian militia don't really hold their own, but the Siphonades really do, because they can burn down an entire army, meaning that 100 to 0, while the Ball Boys put down a lot of CC, makes it very difficult for people to move, and locks up that army. Even if it's for a few seconds, that few seconds can be tantamount to victory or defeat for your own team. So the area denial between the both of them, I think, a stronger impact and effect from the Siphonades, but a very cost-effective effect coming out from the Zychelian militia. They're also really great at a longer range um, because I've seen a lot of the Zychelian militias being used to counter flamer-style piles, and especially when you're the defender, the ball throwers are actually probably more better for you because you throw the balls further away, so they have to run through them, and then you use attack mode so they manually throw the balls so that you get the front line burning up. In the end, um, both have their pros, both have their cons. I do think Imperial Spear Guards are going to be very difficult to handle, and still are very difficult to handle. They have a large health pool, so either one's going to really struggle to kill it. Heroes especially, they don't really fear the flames too much. They have a massive health pool, probably sitting at a natural 33,000. 32,000 probably on the lower end, but I'll be honest, like, I'm not even full toughness, and I'm probably sitting at, like, how much am I sitting at? Probably 30? At least 30, right? Almost 30, okay. So, I do think a lot of heroes, even light, maybe light and mediums, will probably be sitting probably in the latter half of the 20,000s. So, um, 27,000 would probably be one of the lowest health heroes. And how many hits would you take from like a flamer before you die? Flamer's only doing around about 600 damage. Can go up to 1100 damage, but even then, my goodness, you would be hit almost 200 times, and you still probably wouldn't be dead. Not 200 times. About 40 times, more likely. Alrighty. Guess the teams have been sorted. The second battle is about to start. And hello, Masked Flame Z. I didn't see you there. And what do you mean the DB farmed so hard? I didn't actually take a look at the I didn't take a look at the scoreboard and what heroes did what, but maybe it would be true. I think the defender, I do think the Jewel Blade would have gotten quite a bit, considering that a lot of the heroes would have been isolated coming up onto the wall to destroy those siege weapons. Now we have SVS attacking and BLK defending. Let's see if BLK tries to take a book from SVS, but I think SVS already knows the weakness of their strategy. It's very surprising that, well, sorry, if they probably are expecting it, because there's a lot of epic mortars being put down. Very terrifying indeed. Lots of cavalry, tier 5 cavalry, in fact, from both sides coming out. Still got that Forte Braccio still is a mainstay pick. I don't believe anyone was going to drop the Forte Braccio as of late. Lots more moles this time. Pickup of 2 more moles from the 3 from a little bit lower from the 3 poleaxes that I had earlier. Poleaxes and the Jewel Blade probably farming out the heroes in the isolation or the little bit of skirmishing that will happen on the wall if they do end up controlling it. And of course, it does look like BLK kind of has the setup to destroy those siege weapons. So I do suspect that SVS has a little bit better preparation and probably a little bit better in terms of preparation. BLK is going to have to be careful though. If they don't want to get caught by surprise, they should have already realized what kind of strategy they're taking and what people they're facing has done to them already. Getting pressure with all siege towers is always a good start. Siege towers and battering rams should always be pushed, I would say, getting them to open up avenues for you as fast as possible. That's rookie numbers. I know someone with 1.2k armor and 37k health. 37k health with 1.2k armor? Man, that guy's a monster. Absolute monster. If I've ever seen one. And the funny thing is that I'm not even surprised if that's even true. I'm not even questioning that's even true. I believe it can be true. So I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's a monster. And if I ever run into someone like that, my goodness. I'm not sure where that hero came from just now. Start has come in. Woo! Mistakes were made! Middle siege tower does get up on the wall, but I do think one siege tower up on the wall is not very good pressure at the short time. BLK doing a really good job at holding on that wall by the looks of it, getting some free kills. I'm very impressed if anyone actually reaches the 1.2k and 37k health. I'd definitely like to see an image of it. I'm not saying that it's not real, but I totally believe it could be real. But to see someone with it, I think it would be in like top 1%. 1% of those that actually grind out the new Reforged system. Probably one of the worst things that he could have done, honestly. Newer players are going to struggle so much against newer players. This is a very interesting assault there. Though it was a Divine Crow, it's not exactly much of a threat in the long run. I say that actually. Divine Crows have been very effective for the most part. They are essentially supercharged Scorpios, and they're kind of difficult to see, especially the flaming ground that they leave on the floor is super difficult to spot. Using Shenji grenades there. It's no surprise that SVS is kind of scouting out this siege tower. I definitely do think that they could do a little bit of poke, do a little bit of cap, just a little bit. If they're lucky, they can do a full... Ooh. Did look like was unsuccessful with the Yanyudao cavalry sally out, though it was just one. Did look like they killed a couple. Whoa, killed more than a couple. Probably, let's say a quarter of. That's about 8 buddies, right? About a quarter of an Imperial Spear Guard. A nasty damage, I would say. But yeah, my 2 cents is I really hate the Reforged system, mainly because I love the fact that we get a little bit more stats. I hate the fact that we have to get a little bit more stats, because it just means that the limit has increased, and when the limit increases, I don't know what this Glaive is thinking, but he is throwing his life away as he's getting dumpstered by 4 heroes, 5 heroes. There, down he goes, throwing away a powerful unit as well. The Yanyudao cavalry is nothing to scoff at. Now, pretty standard pretty standard setup here. 2 siege towers on the wall, a pincer attack here at the A point. Getting a good isolation on both of these platforms means absolute devastation on the A point. Now, BLK can kind of reverse it by controlling one of the platforms, but let's see if SVS can maintain and pressure BLK off of the A point, because I do think it's going to be a wall battle. Front gate is a no-go in even the easiest of time. People are not very brave to go through the front gate, and it's a little bit sad that way. Ooh, grenades kind of miss entirely. Very strange how SVS do kind of just come straight onto the A point, which is one thing. We got some flamers there at the front, a battle on 2. Not the greatest of start here on the right-hand side. Left-hand side is holding because of the flamers, but both sides look pretty strong right now. Getting onto those flamers, 5 of them down. For some reason, the pile of monks is breaking through. A response is coming. Does look like the monks are going to get pushed back and smacked out. SVS does an amazing job coming in and smashing BLK, but BLK losing out quite heavily, in fact. Whoa! Man, maybe I should really check how many units people have at the beginning of the battle more often, because checking the unit difference only to see that there is a 400 unit difference is shocking. Shocking at the least, say the least. Very unfortunate to lose an entire Fort of Russia like that. I mean, in the best of cases, even in the worst of cases, a retreat should never result in you just losing units. You should be able to take a few units with you, even if it's at a terrible trade, because if you're gonna die anyway, better die fighting. It always hurts my heart watching people run away and they just get slapped. $33k HP with 1.2k armor. Again, I totally could believe that. The 37k HP, I'd only believe that would be true is that if you put toughness into his main stat, as his main stat. Armor would be a bit difficult. He'd probably sit around 800 at the beginning, and then with the reforged stuff, he could probably get an additional maybe 200. Roughly around about 200, I would say. But to have both, maybe it is. Maybe I'm stretching my suspension of disbelief here, but the crazy numbers that come out from the Reforged system is really crazy, because you also have to remember that without the Reforged system, we just came from a time where 30k HP was kind of the limit, but you would have like Jackal armor. You would have the base 700 or maybe 800 armor. And then like there was some people that creeped just a little bit to probably 32, probably 31, 32,000. Now, getting above 30 is just like easy. Super easy. You don't even need to invest anything into toughness to get 30, and it's just like, what? Same with armor. Like, breaching 1,000 armor, 1,100 armor was already pretty much the limit, but 1,200 armor? Easy. 1,300 armor? I don't think that doesn't exist. I'm pretty sure someone that just went all armor could definitely break that. Very unfortunate Treb, though. We did see a climb from monks, trying to get superiority here on the wall. You never really want to give areas for free for enemies, especially since this can be very powerful position for the defenders and attackers. The walls on every single side should definitely be defended, but again, there's only so much you can defend with 15 people, but limited by the attackers. There is a limit to where the attackers can go. I do think that it's kind of awkward to have connecting platforms, especially this one here. This one being in favor of the attackers. Finishing off the Shenjis. Shenjis is all but dead, probably just 2 guys left. Sending up the Surf. Oh, no, there is 3 guys left now. There's still plenty of artillery for the attackers to burn through. 8 minutes to go. To get through all of the artillery ammo, I think it would take around about 3 minutes. Not very great. Three. BLK is getting into a habit of throwing their lives away. Not even sure what they were thinking, since I didn't really see the start of that. Maybe try to get a catch. ISG's retreating in a very awkward direction. Well, massive loss again. The unit difference is creeping heavily. I do think SVS is in it to win it. Not sure if BLK can actually drag it back, considering how little reserves they have remaining. I think around about the 6-minute mark, SVS might look to mount an attack, and this is one of the more boring parts. It's the preparation phase. A lot of mortaring does happen, but it's very difficult to say how effective it is. We do see a lot of troop movements, some rotations out from BLK, trying to keep the guys out on the field. I'm very interested at the reason why they're firing into basically nothing here. We still have Trebs available, 7 Trebs available. So open positions of artillery is definitely a no-go. But could stall out. One good placement of artillery could definitely stall out an attack. Chevaliers need to get their crossbows in, but not that there's any crossbows left. Coming in through the back, question mark? Definitely do think it's the back push. Just gotta through Fort Brasher. It should be fairly easy. Fort Brashers don't particularly do very much damage in the long run. They hit 2 targets for probably around about 1,000 damage. Gonna get a bit squished here. Really need to reset that supply point if they have any hope of winning, but they also need to take out that flavors, which are going to easily suppress them. BLK is stalling. Great job right now, but Yanyanao Cavalry gets in the back, and Imperial Pike walks straight into the front. Does an amazing job along with the shield units just clobbering through. And now BLK really got their hands tied with no supply point and a good section of their forces killed. BLK is throwing in another Fort Brascio to get slaughtered by the Shield Maidens. As you can see, the Shield Maidens absolutely bodies those
walk in the park.
Fort Brascios, as well as just charge right through those flames. Probably taking a lot of damage. Big smack already kills basically half of that. Not sure what a couple of these guys did. It does look like the Yanyanao Cavalry slaps the Fort Brascio into, and some of their own Yanyanaos comes through, swiping right across that front line, but unfortunately just too many to fight. Got the Imperial Spear Guard remaining. We got some backline Yanyanao trying to break through, but it is a pile of Fort Brascios Fort Russia is way stronger here on the SVS side.
Child's play.
Only 7 heroes remaining. We got some guys coming in through the back. Says no, the Fort Russia's got to take the long road around and not going to make it in time.
Park.
Or maybe they will! Ah, flying through the air. The poleaxe didn't make it. Unfortunate. So, of course, as you can see, very costly for the defenders. Every engagement nearly big loss. And of course, this final section, no words to the defensive style. I do realize that um, Fort Russia pick has backfired for a lot of teams. People don't understand how to keep Fort Russia alive or how to counter units that are not cavalry. I think that is becoming a bigger issue. But when cavalry are out on the field, when there's no Fort Russias or the lack of Fort Russias, you can definitely see that cavalry is unchallenged, and it can be very depressing. So having a unit that is both good against cavalry as it is against infantry is um, probably what people want to ask, because cavalry existence is too powerful to deal with anything besides anti-cavalry. But nevertheless, Grassland Assault for the last one. I'm gonna try to catch this one with a good old observe. Hopefully, I don't get locked up and miss my next battle. But I'm very surprised DVD and CBL did send it to a grassland. So I'm quite impressed. Quite impressed. Double Linwu Fortress, so we have 17 minutes before the next set of battles do start up, so that's quite good for me, because the field battle only lasts for around about 15, maybe 18 minutes. Gotta have to just wait 3 minutes though in the meantime. Just take a look at chat. Someone's saying that they have 1.1k armor and 34,500 health, and they are strength armor build. Otherwise, another person has 41k HP and 900 plus armor. So the 900 plus armor definitely is probably definitely more tankier. Again, I'm sitting around about 1100 and I have 29. I don't put any investment into the Reforge one. As you can see, there are a lot of base stats. So I'm thinking probably got a couple of thousands out from the armor and probably some bonus stats as well. Mole does benefit a lot from bonus attributes, but I think the weapon alone already increases it by a lot. If I had better attributes, I could probably get that armor penetration to probably 2000, get this one to as high as 1900, and that is perfectly okay, because having 2000 blunt armor penetration, I'm doing at least 50% damage to everything. Well, armor-wise. There is a lot of damage resistance in the game. I still think there is a problem with Daggerrack Lancers. Daggerrack Lancers having this strange infinite amount of damage resistance, to say the least. It's like crazy amount of damage resistance when they are doing their swing attack. And that's even when they're just doing it as a normal attack. Doesn't even have to be a counter attack. They don't have to be in United Charge. They can just be walking around and they do the swing and they're taking like 0 damage, but they're taking like 0 damage. And yeah, that's that. Hopefully this can quickly start up. I do think another minute or so before I can start viewing that battle. I just hope that once I do start viewing this tiebreaker, I don't catch myself off guard for the next set of battles, which is the BODS versus TNK. They'll probably start right after the battle ends, so I might exit early once the battle has been decided. Or I'll exit 9 o'clock 9 o'clock on the dot in order to make it to my thing. But I'm wondering some limits. I'm also thinking, how much damage could you get on like classes? Because I've been getting hit by some longbows that are terrifying. What I mean by terrifying, I mean I have 1100 armor, but I'm getting hit by longbows that deal 3000 damage to me. Like, that's ridiculous, right? 3000 damage longbows? Like, historically, like like best headshot longbows probably get 3000, but some of these shots are just hitting my body, which is or my back, and I'm taking 3000 damage. I'm just like, these guys are hitting hard. They're hitting right through my armor. Normally normally I could scoff at getting hit by a longbow, but right now, no. Maybe the supercharged shot is also doing me numbers, because that has a 0.3 bonus to armor penetration, which could definitely screw me over. But as you can see, DVD is coming in with 14 players, so that's a little bit iffy. CBL coming in, and having some shield units on the field battle is always a bit weird to me, because just like, I would never bring shield units unless I was running straight into a tight corner, because for the like, all pikes are directional, and they will really suffer when they're not pointing in the right direction. So a lot of cavalry, or what a lot of cavalry can do is just come in from different directions. Even if one cavalry gets caught, the second one will definitely get through. Well, most of the time. DVD takes a passive approach, as I don't know what they have done actually. It looked like they were going heavy on the A side, but they backed off at the last second here. Didn't actually send that many people. Now that the base point opened up, I'm hoping. It does look like it's 15v15, so that's fine. Seabell, wow, that is unfortunate. What just happened? Okay, a lot. Okay, so, for some reason I guess skipping. Some skipping has just happened. That was very weird. My goodness. Getting shot from this hill. I mean, like, I placed ballistas here before, but a siege ballista at this range? Since I see a lot of tags, I can't exactly see what they're aiming at sometimes. Imagine if this could be destroyed. Just a perfectly flat plane. Then again, cavalry would have a field day if that happened. Modals are surprisingly out here. I'm not surprised that Chevaliers are out here. Always what's surprising is when they stand still, is that they start shooting. Well, they do the shooting animation and just stand instead of standing still. I definitely think that, like, it would be interesting if someone could shoot up and over. If I put a ballista here and shot at the horizon, Could I get it to angle up and over into these guys? That would always be interesting. This angle would be too difficult, obviously. Got things in the way. You could get something over here. They're pinging a lot of the artillery, trying to make focus on taking them out. Oh, I didn't notice that there was a siege ballista up here. And of course we have a culverin up here. Super long shots. Both sides kind of just shooting artillery at each other. Again, a bit underestimated that you could put down a lot of artillery on the field battle. And especially since you can put some high tier artillery, people do seem to not do it very often. This mole might get caught here. Could need some reinforcements. Oh, can he escape? Nodachi could save him. Very well done. Very well done. Although this longbow might get a couple of... No, doesn't get any of the crossbows. I definitely think I would have went with them.
First blood.
First blood. CBL scores. I'm not sure exactly where he was killed. Alrighty, 8 minutes clocking down. Still not very much action, as we both teams have relegated to shooting each other. But of course, DVD is in the back foot here. They're at a disadvantage. They'll need to make a move against CBL eventually. I think these guys are bugged out. They're not supposed to be standing here. They're probably actually standing here. Otherwise, I mean, CBL could just walk up and touch that and grab it. CBL's keeping one guy here, though troop-wise, not there. Could see a push towards the A point and then sweeping back to the B point. I definitely do think that would be a wise maneuver. I definitely think a small contingent of probably 5 cavalry smashing the A point, put a lot of pressure, and only to escape and attack the B, redeploy and attack the B point. But you could also do a constant raiding, kill the hero, kill the unit that comes with the hero, and one by one, CBL has to answer with more and more force as they get killed off one at a time. They got some rockets flying ahead. Ah, damn. On to the Chevaliers. The Chevaliers are not very important, but they're still very tanky. Now, starting off with some burning Borbraccios. Got some halberdiers at the front here. We'll get beaten out by the Borbraccios. Though I do think halberdiers really do much better against the Imperial Spear Guard. Got a lot of damage, and of course, the Imperial Pike Guard just walks right over it. Ooh, deployment is very awkward here in the back. Shield Maidens takes out an entire Chevalier. But DVD is still pressuring that B point. Got some Yanyudao countering. Got lots of... Whoa, here comes some Yanyudaos. Oh! No, but the camels do come from the front. Does look like the Shield Maidens is what's cleaning up for the most part. Or maybe it's the Yanyudao. But here comes some Daggerak Lancers getting past the camels. Yanyaдаo's coming in through the side. Whoa! Unbrace at the wrong time. Getting slapped here. Yanyadao's also finish off some leftovers. Could see another Unleashed Dread circling around. CBL is definitely destroying DVD in this confrontation. We got a lot of cavalry still cycling, and the halberdiers do take a hit, but they don't seem to have gone down just yet. Swing right back around. Got hit by a second one. Here comes a mass cavalry charge from DVD. DVD could probably see the end of their days as they try to swing forward. Nice swing, eliminating one Yan Yudao from Seabell. Seabell is outnumbered here with the respawn from DVD. Advantages is low. Losses will be heavy for both sides. Yan Yudao Cavalry comes through the center and gets absolutely swept out by a winged charge and a Yan Yudao. Here we go, Yan Yudao versus Cataphract. Cataphract wins, although not in the long run. The entire unit gets destroyed by the Maul. Yan Yudao Cavalry are ferocious and they are very tough by the looks of it. Able to beat out a Cataphract on the charge. Probably not what you want to see. We got a lot of Winged Stars about to get caught by walking by a Fort Russia. And as you can see, the Daggerak Lancer is coming and sweeping out. Returning the favor, Seabell comes back in force. One by one, though, we got another swing from DVD. Massive forces. Winged Star Charge could sweep out this Northernlands Cavalry, but where are they facing? Backs off. Looks like no charge at all. Did notice that the entire B point has been swept out of DVD. So heavily outnumbered, DVD needs to wait for their troops getting shot by a flaming comet and cannon. This is probably not looking good as the Chevalier's crossbowmen shoot for victory. A lot of Fort Russians have died in the short time. The Medaus are probably the tankiest unit here and will probably survive, but they retreated out! Winged Swords come sweeping through, finishing off the remainder of the Fort Russia, but the Medaus surprisingly got through. We got some... Whoa! Ballista Shot takes out two of the camels instantly. DVD now makes a move toward that B point, and pressure is on hard. Base point is protected, so it's okay.
Child's play.
So it's not open. We have Port of Russia who's trying to push in through. Definitely not the smartest move. The smartest move is to wait for the enemy to try to push through. Another reset. They'll have to reset for quite a few times. I do think the Yan Yudao Cavalry slicing that middle section. Wow, that Medal's taking a swing at the back. Definitely a big chunk taken out. I'm not sure how many heroes are left, but they are both clocking down from units. DVD losing superiority here for the third time on the B point. Very close to capturing it that time, but a lot of sacrifices has been made by Seabell. I think Seabell's getting their troops back, but their heroes are not coming back in time. Another sweep. Cavalry just sweeping out that Medal and Fort Russia pile, along with some monks. Monks taking a little bit of aggro, able to sweep them out. Now, just got to deal with this Fort Russia here, get those monks right on them, and you can definitely take it out fairly easily. But the cavalry getting taken out is not a good look, as mostly reinforcements for Seabell here. Short Sword's doing an amazing job surviving, but reinforcement in front of the heroes does mean that Seabell will clean sweep this back out. Oh, man. I do think that is the closing. That would be kind of impressive. I kind of want to watch this till the end. If I miss out, I miss out, but... never mind. Does get closed off. Alright. I'll close this, I'll say that Seabell did win this field battle, as I will need to switch over real quickly before they start the next set of battles for TNK versus BODS. So sorry if you guys wanted to finish that till the end. I do think I do think it's kind of definitive. There is no way DVD can bring that back in the short time. But nevertheless, congratulations. That was a very, very interesting battle, to say the least. It was very intense all the way through the finish there. Now, hopefully they don't chuck me over. I'll be back. Heinz, they've been changed. The arty limit was changed to 3 each, so people use a lot of arty. On the field battle, that is, it's 3 each, but for the siege battle, it's 3 for the attackers and 2 for the defenders. So we definitely see a lot of arty nonetheless. And I'll be honest with you, I don't like the change. I'm seeing too much dictated by the power of arty. And what I mean by that, like, even in the CBL, there were times where the arty placements were crucial and could definitely um, make up for a team in a bad situation. But this is over the top. Like, arty alone could win the battle. Like, if the defenders had 1 unit and they had 30 arty, I think they could win. I think they could win. We've seen quite a few defenses where the defenders basically take no losses, and they had all the arty in the world. Like, it's so surprising. Like, from 1 arty to 2 arty, and especially since we're here in higher quality territory, we got the epic and the legendaries open to us. It's absolutely terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. The number of high tier artillery people are getting hit by. Um, High tier artillery, everyone's looking to grab it. Everyone's looking to get that artillery to use it. It's absolutely shocking, like, how effective a bunch of epic tier mortars, epic tier divine crows. I think people are doing mighty rebels like constantly for this. Mighty rebels is probably what's fueling these people with the arty necessary in order to do what they are doing. Alrighty, so does look like the 15th player did rock up and roll in. We have a BODS versus TNK. TNK probably going to get absolutely stomped by BODS, but then again, I kind of underestimated the team BLK fighting against BODS. I did think that BODS kind of has a much stronger performance, but maybe I'm discrediting the other teams a bit too much. Artillery does seem to dictate the battlefield quite a bit, but both BLK and TNK don't rely too much on arty and really gets into the nitty-gritty and forces BOD, well, sorry, BLK anyway, forcing BODS into the battle. Not to say that arty doesn't play a part of BOD's strategy, but BLK did push BODS really to the brink by rushing them, not allowing them to put down that arty, get that advantage. Because one thing I'll always tell you is defenders have the luxury of having RT in certain places, and the attackers will walk right into it. For the attackers, you can put down an RT, the defenders can just run away. There's a lot of times where defenders could set up a position that looks a bit difficult to attack, and the attackers will just go, let's bomb them out, and put up a bunch of RT. They just say, nope, I ain't for that, and get the hell out of there. Perfectly fine. You get through some of the hard points, you make them use some arty. Obviously, you advance to the next stage. There are times where I think that defenders-wise, putting down the arty is a big commitment. But it is an effective commitment, nonetheless. We got an interesting setup from BODS. Plenty of tier 4s, very few tier 5s in comparison. I do think TNK has a little bit more tier 5s, but that could hamper them in the long run. I'm going to have to see how aggressive they're going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if TNK does lack a little bit in terms of quality. As you can see, we got a couple of rare mortars and a flame cauldron. But nevertheless, TNK versus BODS, with BODS attacking first here on White Elk Fort, one of the new revamped maps that has seen better days. I have noticed, however, that, you know, there used to be Divine Crows on Harbor City. They removed that again, so they changed the rotation for Harbor City. And for obviously for this map, they haven't changed. They haven't changed per se from the release, but one of the more interesting things here is the legendary Divine Crow in the back. The Divine Crow placement here, where a Hwacha was, and the Hwacha was over here. These Divine Crows are particularly deadly, and I'll be honest, like, Divine Crow is an um, epic tier artillery. So why not upgrade the Hwacha's epic tier? These are blue tier, rare tier Hwachas that really are no fun to shoot. To me, there. Yep, I agree with you. This would be so much more skill based if there was less arty. Arty has fixed placements there on each map. That's fine. That's fine because there's no real impact from the arty from people being able to people being able to place their own arty is a skill in and of itself. But the thing is that the difference in skill affects other aspects a bit too much. With the fixed placement of arty, there are less variation and there's less effect on the units and there's less effect. Like, here's the thing: the majority of this game, to me, is heroes and units. Heroes and units will obviously affect each other. Units themselves will obviously fight heroes and other units. But when you're getting shot by arty, that doesn't feel great. It never feels great. So the only reason you'll ever get hit by arty is that you can't help it. And when people, especially other heroes, can place arty, and you have to get hit by it anyway, it just feels awful. Because it seems like a low-cost, high-impact action. And a low-cost, high-impact action are things like Treb. That's also very powerful. Like, it would be more skill-based for attackers to fight this map without Treb. But, again, the defenders would just basically win more often than not. They could probably end it on the wall more often than not if the Trebs were taken out. And that's the thing. In order to break up a little bit of the monotony inside matchmaking, artillery is useful. Artillery, it should be designed to kind of just be annoying, break up hard positions. The unfortunate reality is you've invented a tool that has too much impact because it needs to have that impact, because if it doesn't have that impact, what's the point of having that tool? So you're kind of in that little bit of a scary point where TNK claims first blood. Jewel Blade takes him out. I'm not sure where that Jewel Blade is stationed. Is he outside? No, he's probably in the back. As I was saying, the lack of, or the inability for people to solve the issue with the troops they have is a reality of units being inflexible. Inflexibility is the nature of a lot of these units. For Russia, for instance, extraordinarily inflexible unit. It does one thing and one thing only. It's a long brace pikeman that does damage. It doesn't have a shield, so it can't block. And does a little bit of damage, but it's not that much. It's got bonus damages against cavalry and the likes like that. And it's very important to also realize that they are inflexible because of the number of things that they actually can deal with is actually very small. Although the category is global, the number of things that they actually can fight is very small. But that doesn't mean they're useless in all situations. It's just not very, they're just not very good in a lot of situations. And of course, that negativity is what comes in with a lot of units. I'm surprised that BODS is kind of doing a rush style. What the hell died here at the front? BODS loses the put rusher here. Swings back. Grabs the right-hand side. Destroys the artillery. Great. They get that right-hand side. Hey, man. I'm not too fussed about everyone going to the right-hand side. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm a bit salty. Yeah, right. A single wall rocket, for example, can F over a full breach / gate push, for example. Yeah! Every time, man. A long time ago, when I had a very intense battle here, I believe it was Kochi at the time, they broke through this breach. Me and 5 guys. I had 5 people, 15 people tried to bust through here. I shot them with 3 different cannons. I was firing 3 different cannons and halted an entire 15-man army with just me, myself, and me and 4 other boys. And it was glorious because it was basically a slaughter as they were coming through. Absolute slaughter as they were coming through. Alright. We've seen a lot of these strategies here on the on the backhand side kind of swing over through the middle or through the supply point. Massive deployment of artillery to be expected, and it's going to be a little bit slow. TNK, best bet is to charge straight in for this arty. Otherwise, deploy their own, although they're going to be slow. As you can already see, the start is hectic as full-on beating, getting beaten out there. We got some rear guards coming. We got some rear guard. Oh my goodness, Fort Russians are holding strong, but all the artillery just got messed up. Now Flamers are gonna have to hold strong for. Flamers gonna have to hold strong for TNK. Nope, TNK's Flamers dead. Axe Raiders tries to do their best. Gets beaten out. BODS walks right over that supply point, although the cavalry in the back, although costly, actually manages to take out a lot of that artillery. Again, this is the scary part. The deployment of those artilleries really messed up and dictated the battle for BODS there. But it was very surprising how they managed to hold on just a little bit. This will probably be the 4th time that I've seen people just get swept right out. Borbrashio here needs to be dived on. TNK gets a couple through. Look at that. That Yanyudao hit the center 3. Hit the center 3 before dying. Now, BODS has the front gate open, so this is a little bit different from every other situation that I've seen. Big respawn, they get the supply back, but they have to contend with reinforcement from BODS coming in and sweeping them out. So this is also a second reversal. Get out cavalry, although they should get countered by these halberdiers. I'm very surprised at how well they're doing. Nonetheless, they did get swept out. Now, on the back foot, getting pushed back into the base point. A fairly good trade for both sides. in a scenario where TNK actually dragged back the defense for that time. It was pretty impressive after having such a big loss at the beginning. But it's also very impressive that BODS did not lose their advantage after coming back in. So that is like we've seen that exact lineup happen. Like that situation has happened many times before. But as you can see, that front gate being open every other time, that front gate was shut. That front gate was controlled by the defending team, and this time it wasn't. This time BODS actually succeeded in destroying that, meaning that BODS came in with reinforcements and swept out the reactionary force from TNK, which means that they didn't drop any advantage. They did not. They didn't drop any big advantage. Managed to get the A point, move on to the final. But here's also a bigger problem. TNK still has a reserve force for a lot of situations for when an attack like that happens. There is a gamble, a big gamble of whether or not you are successful, because you have to always be successful on the attack, because if you're not successful on the attack, you kind of drive yourself in a corner, and it gets more and more difficult the further you go in. And again, attrition is again, it's... Wait, what? Guess we both know the feeling of running into... Yeah, definitely know what the feeling running into artillery. And, I mean, like, you watch that supply push as well. You watch back that supply push. People running... There were 5 Arties that were placed down, and I pity no one for trying to rush through it, but Jesus, that hurts when you're trying to walk through it. And here comes again. 6 Arties are going to go down for this corner fight. TNK could kind of hide back between the corner, but they're going to lose the supply point this way. And look, first volley already fired through. Not to say anything about the front line. Here comes the second volley. We've got a couple of guys heading towards that supply point, which is nasty for both sides, because if the TNK holds it, they can respawn in, but BODS is stretching themselves thin right across. They're about to lose their superiority, but gee, the Forte is... The surprising thing here is that the Forte is just far away enough from the enemy that when the flaming comets go off, it doesn't hit their own guys. The absolute mayhem of the flaming comets. These things haven't even shot very many. Now, holding on this supply point is not bad, but the problem is that they can't get any more troops. So, better off dying, actually. He realizes that he can't kill the longsword, so he's actually trying to secure the supply point. TNK can hold the supply point and look for a respawn. A mass respawn push could see a reversal if they can hold this supply point just long enough to stop it. Another kill. Oh, did they grab the other supply point? That is very, very impressive. The only problem here is BODS does spawn from the breach. Not going straight in, does a mass respawn. Could see the Surf here get absolutely killed. They want no... Whoa! No charge? Where's your charge? Oh man, what a waste of a Hussar. Although that Hussar just actually swung and actually did a lot of damage there. Just swung their sabers and did a lot of damage.
A walk in the park.
BODS is on the base point, though I am kind of skeptical of why they keep dropping it. I guess the members are a bit too bloodthirsty. TNK does a spawn in. A couple of guys do get blocked up. Trying your best, Poleaxe, but I'm not sure if
walk in the
Whoa!
park.
Grape shots do take him out.
Together we stand.
Just a few... Oh, they actually lost here. Daggerak Lancers for the win, I guess. Unable to break through. Not to mention, this barricade here actually kind of backfires for the defenders rather than the attackers. And there goes the attack. Not bad from TNK, but absolutely ferocious from BODS. That artillery, wowzers. Wowzers, just laying it in there for that final. So I'm very impressed that for some reason the difference between the two wasn't that large after this first battle, even though it does look like the defenders took way more losses than the attackers here. And again for the final, a bit of a more even exchange. Any anti-CC infantry, anti-CC cav. What's next? Anti-CC flames? Yeah. Whew. More arty equals more win. Equals win. Yeah, when you can get the arty down and use it. So, attackers have so much arty. Like 45 arty, sorry. 45 arties for the attackers to use. You don't think that, like, placing down 5, 6, 7, 8, 9... Man, place down 15 grape shots every time you engage the enemy. If you don't win, I will be very surprised. I would be very surprised, because that is the shocker. That's an absolute shocker. If you lose, even if you put down, like, that many grape shots. What's also hilarious, I would say, is I never think that, like, arty is really a big part of CB. It really is, actually. But I don't want it to be. I like the arty when I need to... I like the arty to use it when it's just like, I need to use something that breaks up the monotony, or like something a bit different, a bit fresh. So I like the green ballistas, I like the low tier stuff, maybe a blue... I mean, like, even a blue grape shot to me does a bit too much damage. Obviously, I'm a bit biased for Hwatches. I love the epic Hwatches. I think they should be buffed in comparison to other epic artillery. But yeah, blue mortars in fact are fine for me. Blue ballistas, again, ballistas are the well-made ballista and the regular ballista are all both just pretty much thing. I do think that ballistas should just be a one-shot kill. Units being able to survive a ballista shot, I'm a little bit sad when I hit those units. At the same time, I'm just like, surviving a ballista shot is really impressive as well. Melee imp... No, man, no way. You do realize that, like, the knife that archers bring out have a completely separate damage profile, and they'll do minimal damage. I've seen the archers stab people, and they do like 50 damage. But Ruffles, the funniest thing is that the CC immunity doctrine on the Yanyudao cavalry, I don't even believe it's actually doing anything. I think the Yanyudao cavalry would have been like this regardless of that CC immunity doctrine, because I see no difference in performance when I use it. When I run into flamers and stuff, I don't see these guys get stun locked at all. At all. Like, get hit by flamers, I'm in my Unleashed Dread. They'll just murderify everything. And it's just like, it's a little bit weird. Kind of like how the monks are also CC immune when they do their attack as well. The developers obviously realized that getting CC sucks. So they just made all of the abilities of the new units kind of CC immune. And when I say all, I mean all. Because the Wushin Pikemen were also very strange as well, because their abilities used to be completely daze immune. While they were attacking, they couldn't get dazed at all. A CC, yes. Dazed, no. Dazed is something that nearly all units suffer from. And especially even older units suffer heavily from being able to be dazed while they're attacking. Not being able to be dazed while attacking is already a fundamental difference that can affect the battle heavily. Prefecture guards are kind of like this. Well, not kind of like this. Prefecture guards causes days on hit. So what I meant by that is that there are units that have CC. Even minor CCs can be very powerful. And days on hit for prefecture guards puts them at a level that is above a lot of the other units, above even the condottieri. I do think the condottieri are weaker than the prefecture guards because prefecture guards just outperform them, especially with the +1. Though I can say that in the whole terms of like unit scaling, I can you can chuck it in that like prefecture guards and condottieri are very close. So I'm not surprised that condottieri are only 170 while prefecture guards are 180. TNK looks like to be missing someone. Again, setup wise, looking lot of shields, looking a lot of pikes, looking a lot of cavalry. The ISG pick, very fascinating, but I also am very interested in some of these halberdier picks along with the prefecture archers we see here. What's also very impressive is the Daggerack Lancers, also a high priority pick for BODS. It is not surprising either at the artilleries by these guys. Look at the number of war rockets, flaming comets, and epic mortars. I don't think TNK is gonna have any luck breaking through this kind of defense, considering that they not in a confrontation. TNK does seem to be the weaker of the two teams. It does look like it is 15v15. It does look like all of them loaded in. But I, for one, want to just say, while we take a little bit of time relaxing, while we watch the beginning phases of the battle, I think cavalry should be changed, for one. Fundamentally, they are a super damage dealer. They are they deal tens of times damage comparative to even the closest of infantry competitors. You think about it. A cavalry charge can hit multiple targets. Hits for about 3,000 damage. A winged star charge hits for 6,000 damage. And this is before armor, of course. And you have hit limits, which are uncountable at this present time. I believe it is tens of times, like, in a practical sense, it is tens of times more effective for a cavalry charge to just sweep out several units than it is for a single infantry unit to deal the same amount of damage. There is no infantry unit in this game that is as tanky as a cavalry, because cavalry are also very tanky. Nor they do as much damage. And that is a problem. Cavalry, for one, are naturally very tanky. The tier 5 one, anyway, because they have a lot of benefits. Now, the harassment from BODS is quite classic of their kind of style because they are very confident in their hero battling skills. And really, you should be on guard against kind of heroes kiting you out. Skirmishes with heroes only is something that you need to be very resilient against, and you should definitely watch the backs of your friends, because when you get baited in like this, you have to be careful. If they take out one of your guys, that's one guy less. One person down is a huge disadvantage. You have to wait for them to respawn, and if they aim, and if one person keeps getting caught out, he could be clocked out forever. Well, that's the thing. I totally understand your gripes about lockup. Like, CC is very important, and now they're just making it not matter. That's always just been a thing. Like, that's always just been a thing for every game. It always will be a thing, and this is very unfortunate here. No screening here means that their entire tail is getting cut off. This trade might look good on paper, but in the grand scheme of things, this looks really bad. Their tail gets cut off. They kill a couple of guys on this supply point, but they really haven't picked up too much. Both sides are fighting it out. This supply point will fall. TNK might get the supply point and actually rue the day. Now, here's the thing. If this Water Brusher didn't go in, probably they would be even. And maybe if TNK keeps catching the heroes, they can press their attack straight onto the supply point. I would definitely charge straight into that supply point. But again, too many shield units means that they're extraordinarily vulnerable for cavalry. Now, here's an awesome maneuver that might backfire heavily, as they just get shot to pieces. Though I am very impressed that they were able to take out an entire shield maiden, as two of the Water Brushers get caught there. Every single game has a problem of creating CC only to create a unit that ignores it. When you create something that simply ignores a mechanic, you need to have a fundamental cost and a fundamental challenge to that concept. Hashashins are a good example of a fundamental challenge to the basic concept, but this is the problem because there's also cavalry that do the exact same thing. Fenris were the original concept where Hashashins kind of jump over units. And the good thing about the Fenris is that they will jump over the first target. They'll do a bit of damage, but that is their animation. It is a long animation, and there's a cost to it, because they'll still take damage while they're jumping. Now, Hashashins don't take damage while they're jumping, because they shored that up. It's still a little bit of a long animation, so there's a bit of a time break between dealing damage and attacking. Between the jump and the damage. Now, already in a bad spot. I would not jump into this. TNK is about to lose a very valuable unit. I would say very valuable unit. Going through the center here is probably the wisest choice they could have made. Though, getting sideswiped there, probably not the best. Losing a Yanyudao. Obviously, the Axe Raid is getting locked up is very unfortunate. Charges straight through. I definitely do think there is something to do with the axe charges being sent too far. But that is really great if they can hold this corner here, although it doesn't look like they will. Some flamers, if they get that, if they get those guys closer. Whoa! This is going to be an interesting charge. Although most of the Water Brushers already have been cleaned out. Now, these ball boys for the defender's side is way making up. I would have definitely sent the Axe Raiders directly on top of these ball boys. Never in my life I've seen those ball boys move from one battlefield to the other and really dictate a win for the defenders here. But what's also impressive is that both sides seem to be clocking down units really heavily. I do think that the attackers should be losing more units, but for some reason the defenders, BODS seems to have probably more cavalry, that's why. More cavalry. That's why it looks like they have more units. Well, less units. Now that's extraordinarily dangerous, to just throw cavalry out through the front gate when you see a bunch of pikes spawning like that. Though, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if cavalry just killed the Fort of Russia and just walked out. Never want to go through the front gate, is especially when the defenders are ready. But sometimes you just have to take the hard road. They have 5 minutes. They're not out just yet, but they have to contend with a lot of cavalry, and I mean a lot of cavalry. Them being down also is a big disadvantage. Now, they definitely have their own cavalry to make up the difference here. Unfortunate thing here is lots of anti-cavalry out on the field for the defenders, so it could be difficult to get those cavalries really to in action. Unfortunate that a lot of the ISGs did clock out. I do think the ISGs really are very good at blocking up the pikemen, but the problem here is there's nothing to really help the ISGs kill the pikemen, and they take way too long to kill a Fort of Russia unit. Although an ISG will easily clap a Fort of Russia, it takes way too long. Like, very unfortunate to lose a halberdier. Only lost 1 Liao, but then again, it wasn't even embraced. I'm pretty sure if it was embraced, that halberdier probably take off more than just 1 Liao there. Now, obviously, here comes a buttload of artillery that could be useful. Very little artillery has been used by TNK. TNK and BLK, both teams are not being liberal enough with their artillery, kind of supplementing it with something like a Metallitor, which, again, I don't mind that they're using Metallators, but something as easy as an artillery placement, especially a high tier one, could easily do more than a Metallitor, and that's the upsetting thing. Like, I totally understand that Flamers probably do more than any artillery can, but Metallitors really don't have the damage, they don't have the explosion radius. They are terrifying, don't get me wrong. Now, I don't know what you're planning to do with holding that. Like, right now, they're kind of getting sandwiched, and they're funneling themselves through in a very awkward way. ISG, whoa! Yanyanel Cavalry comes in from the left-hand side here, smashes, but right into the Fort of Russia, gets clobbered out. BODS is just shooting into oblivion. I mean, TNK is getting shot into oblivion right here. That engagement didn't look like it was going too well from the start, but I mean, man, that was awful. Awful ending here. Isolated units now getting picked off one by one. Never really, like, you never really realize how terrible an attack is until the end, because you just see how much units left for BODS. And the difference is just only mounting. They were probably, the attackers had more units from the beginning, they became even, and then now a stretch of almost 250 unit advantage for the defenders right now. I would not be surprised if BODS decides to sally out. Would not be surprised. Because there is a huge unit advantage that they could literally throw at the attackers and just not lose. But yeah, I think cavalry should fundamentally change. I think if anyone wants to get anything done, we should keep telling the developers, change cavalry, change cavalry, change cavalry. Don't try to fix the situation by making anti-cavalry units stronger, because we're going to get situations where everyone's pike units and cavalry is still being used. It shouldn't matter too much that cavalry is being used, but look at that. Look at that.
Walk in the park.
Barely holding on, but no clean charges straight into the face there. Although I think someone tried to. A nice swipe by the Yanyadao cavalry. Slowly the ISGs break through. Here comes some fascinating big shot. Oh!
Death summons you.
You gotta get a feel the pain when you get shot by a siege ballista like that. Although if you have more than 32,000 health, you can actually survive a ballista shot. A legendary ballista shot? I don't think so. But it's mostly to the stomach as well. If you get headshotted, no surviving that. No surviving that. No matter how much armor you have, no matter how much health you have. The current limit is literally a body shot from the siege ballista. You can survive that. I think you need 32,000, maybe 33,000. No surprise here that BODS takes the win, although it was pretty impressive that TNK did trade evenly for the first battle, a little bit down for the second one, and of course, it just got worse and worse and worse. TNK, I think the unfortunate thing here is that you can't fight BODS straight on. First of all, your preparation is weak. Second of all, your commitment is weak. When I say your commitment is everyone going in achieving their goal. A lot of times, what I see from teams is that they have very particular roles that are meaningless in the grand scheme of things. One of the meaningless things was when you're in a Forte versus Forte, you're staring at each other most of the time. You have to break up that monotony, meaning that when you're the attackers, you need to break up that Forte pile and instantly collapse on it. That means that if you have Forte, you need to get into their enemy Forte, break up their formation, get your Forte in position to kill and instantly wipe out. But because if you just end up with Forte facing each other, the defenders are going to just set up artilleries and blow you into oblivion. If you're going to just stare at each other, set up your own artillery and blow the enemy into oblivion, worst case scenario, you both use artillery and both your units are dead. But in a lot of scenarios like this, the commitment is weak because you're not trying to break up the enemy. You're not trying to set up your own artillery to shoot the enemy. Your passive stance leads you to just taking more damage than you need to, and your failure to deal damage to the enemy leads to a downfall in the end. Now, obviously, BODS is very aggressive, so they know when to commit and what to do. So they put pressure on you in a lot of different ways that unsuspectingly turn the tide in their favor. Again, Forte is just staring at each other, not very threatening. So the two Forte in the front gate, they started to creep in very slowly. They didn't come in very fast, but it's just enough to distract a couple of you in the back to make sure that you keep attention to the back. Didn't see any guys defend the left-hand side as Yanyadao cavalry just swiped on through. Took out half of an ISG, probably got killed by the Forte. They probably swiped a couple of Forte as well. It's not that strategy isn't here in Conqueror's Blade. Strategy is amazing here. Can be amazing here in Conqueror's Blade. Fact is that right now artillery impact is so huge that it's really dictating a lot of battles when I think units should be the main thing. Obviously, we have two major problems facing us right now. Cavalry obviously needs to be changed. In my opinion, I think everyone should be asking the developers to change cavalry. Tell them your ideas. Tell them why the current implementation is bad. Secondly, I think ranged units are shooting too fast. The DPS over time is way too high for a lot of part, and their impact is very muted. Is very muted on occasions. So I think they need higher alpha damage, lower damage overall, lower damage over time. So get them to hit harder, but take tone down the fire rate. We have too many super, like, machine gun level firing and not enough high hitting range for that high impact gameplay. I loved that some people, especially BODS, is using the prefecture archers here as kind of a as a range unit that really blows out the Forte meta here, because you see a whole heap of Forte. Have you seen a prefecture pikeman shooting it? I have. Their prefecture archer, not pikeman, sorry, devastates the Forte in a few seconds. I probably over exaggerate, but I'm pretty sure that a prefecture archer could probably shut down an entire Forte unit, all 32, um, within a single arrow range, which is around about 10 seconds, maybe up to 20 seconds. I'm pretty sure there's not very many Forte that can survive an arrow rain from a prefecture archer, especially when they have to stay where they are. Nevertheless, that is all the battles for tonight. I do think, actually, hang on. Maybe I can catch a field battle if Eon versus OPC has gone on to that level. I do have to say, though, this game has a really great concept. Unfortunately, the concepts for the units and the units are struggling mechanically to be fun. I think a lot of people probably are okay with the current style. Wow. It does go for a grassland, and we get to wait for a little bit. So we get to catch another grassland assault, but this time it is Eon versus OPC. Oh man, I didn't get to rant this Monday because I was sick, but I'll get to rant the next following Monday. But I hate the fact that ranged units have shit all for health. Shit all for health. They have a fifth, not even a fifth, maybe a tenth health of some of the infantry counterparts. Like, the fact that Vassal Longbowmen only have a max health of like 2400 is insulting. Absolutely insulting. Because of how easy it is for units already to be killed by heroes, ranged units just die like a fly. Like, they die from a gust of wind. And now, I want to say that people should ask for ranged units to not be so squishy. Ranged units deal more damage up front, but to have lower attack speed. I want people to realize that range can be so much more engaging, not from higher attack speed, not from higher fire rate, but from higher damage, because that's all you're asking for. You want more damage. I think range particularly should suffer more heavily from damage fall off from range, meaning that the further their target, the less damage they do. So, counter to Yanyinal Cavalry, there doesn't exist one. Technically, anti-cavalry units such as pikemen do counter Yan Yudaos, but good luck finding a pike unit that doesn't actually trade with Yan Yudaos, because even Fort Braccios trade with Yan Yudaos, which is crazy to me, crazy to anyone, but it takes only one Yan Yudao to put the Fort Braccio on its ass. Meaning, anything else coming up will obliterate the Yan Yudao. Send two, not a Yan Yudao, to obliterate the Fort Braccio. Now, you send two Yan Yudaos in, or one cavalry unit after the other. That Fort Braccio, more than likely, is going to be on its ass from the first one. Kill the first one. The second one is just going to kill it. Because it's basically a guarantee that anything a cavalry hits is basically going to die. There are very few things in this game that survive the cavalry, and there's very few things that just can sustain the amount of damage coming out from cavalry. And that is a fact. because cavalry do so much damage. So much damage. Tens of times more damage than any other unit type. Tens of damage. Tens times of damage more than any unit type. And it is scary. Now, I do think this is just continuing to load, but if it does take too long, I will try to try again. But we don't miss too much. I do realize that field battles are very exciting, and missing the first few minutes of it, especially since if one of them goes super aggressive, is a big negative for the viewing experience. So I'm gonna cut that off here. Close up the... Come on. I need you to stop. Closing you up. Come on, end task. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Fast, stop faster. I also think that um there's just I have like lists, absolute bonkers longs of a list of things that needs to be changed for Conqueror's Blade. That is to get things back on a different get things on a different track. If you guys don't like that idea, fine. But I don't think I like the current Conqueror's Blade, even though I love Conqueror's Blade. It could just be done so much better in my eyes. Yeah, anytime. Alright, ×2. Come on. Don't send me into loading hell. I'm gonna wait patiently this time. Okay, I'm also probably gonna open up I'm gonna open up someone's stream to make sure that we get to see what's happening. Oh, never mind! We're here. Don't get to see what they started with. That's very unfortunate. Whoa! Eon is heavily down, but we do see OPC. OPC in a bad situation. No points taken off. Okay. This is very... This is going to be a very bad start for OPC. Their entire formation is completely open. OPC needs to react faster, otherwise they're going to start losing the base point. When I mean losing, I mean seriously. This Water Brasher is about to die, going to get shot to pieces. We got some cavalry in the back line coming in super late, getting stopped by the Water Brasher. The main point is almost completely devoid of defenders. OPC, where are your guys? Where is your reinforcements? There goes some base cap, and obviously this battle is going to swing back into OPC's, going to swing back to OPC, but man, that is a terrible start. Also, going to lose that supply point as well. What is happening? You had a massive unit advantage. Now that is closing in on you really, really fast. Again, not touching the point. Camel's really messing up your formation there. Wow! Yan Yudel's just slapping half of that Fort Horatio. Luckily, that Fort Horatio braced halfway time. Wing Nassar tries to smash his way through. Though I do think that it wasn't as powerful as I normally see Wing Nassar, so I do think it's a bit muted. This pike has probably held this supply point by himself this entire time, which has done an amazing job. Only problem now is he's dead. He's dead. The unit difference has closed by probably less than 100, but Eon started off really strong, and now they're in a superior position. I do think OPC could flip the B point right now if they wanted to. Only problem is that do they want to? I do think Eon to hold the B point would have to rush, and especially would have to. Wow, that is very unfortunate. Would have to rush towards the B point, although OPC doesn't want to take that advantage. Although the reset is coming shortly. Does look like Eon's completely guarded now. But that beginning fight here on the base point was so tragic. The formation of OPC's defense was super full of holes. There was barely any people here, and when they came in, I was just like, where is the rest of you? Where is the rest of you? When you present a weak front like that, even if you're spread out, when you're not there at all, you're not in a position to react. You're too far away. Like, being here is too far away. As the enemy comes through this road, you need to be here. You need to be here to even put pressure on that enemy. If you're behind here, you're late. If you are back here, you're never going to make it in time. That's how close you have to be sometimes when battles are raging on, because that's how fast a battle can be decided. Nevertheless, I mean, OPC still has a shot at this. I don't think they've lost completely just yet. But their passiveness does give me a bit of a worry, because not only do they need to take a B point, they need to win against Eon. Ooh, could have gotten the kill, but I don't think they're very good at catching. That spear should have probably died straight away. Well, after being dismounted, like, people should have started diving that spear instantly. Now, the funny thing here is that I wouldn't put a spread out I wouldn't put a line formation here of, whoa, Yanyunao cavalry comes in at a weird angle, but they went for the wrong target. There's a camels. Oh man, comes in from behind. Nice sweep through though. Camels will reinforce the position. They did take out all of the opposing cavalry. Whoa, actually take the back. Some Liaos in the back line there. But the camels really sticking it around. I thought the Yanyu were taken out. Maybe there were more Yanyu than I thought. OPC again losing out. Did they lose out on other fronts as well? Did another battle's raging on there at the B point, and they're losing the supply point right now. And all of these guys only have to do is just hold. And one of the bigger problems about Fortebraccios facing Fortebraccios, no one wants to walk into that. So most of the heroes will probably do the job.
Child's play.
And they're gonna just close it up.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
OPC. Man, that is. You didn't do very well on the field battle. Probably not a very much experience, but I guess we didn't miss anything. Just fighting on the base point, massive fighting on the base point, second fighting on the base point, B point fight. Okay, I guess. Yeah, just OPC just not very good on the field battle, and again, cavalry just simply overwhelming the Fortebraccios. The camel, like, they sent a Winged Hussar in. The Winged Hussar didn't technically die. They slammed right up against the stalwarts into the Fortebraccios. Liaos came in, camels came in, and then the Yanyu come in from the side. The entire thing was a sweep. There were a lot of more cavalry than there were infantry, of course, but still. It's just a fact that a single cavalry can net you more value than a fortibratio in the entire, like, think about it like this. A single cavalry charge can net you more kills than a single infantry unit can in an entire battle. That is what is terrifying. Not only terrifying, absolute bias of units towards units that are cavalry-based. Cavalry-based units are so shockingly effective that it's a surprise that we don't have units that just instantly kill them. And I mean instantly. Because cavalry keeps getting protections, like damage resistance, like more health. There is no reason for cavalry to become more and more tankier just to counter all of the bonuses that pikeman units have been getting. Pikeman units didn't used to have these stupid-ass swamp skills. Ugh, man. Let's take a look. Just a quick look before I end the stream. This impeding force trait gives 26% more damage against cavalry. And it's still not enough. It should say 100%. It should be 200%. There should be no cavalry that survives touching a fortibratio. Touching a pike unit, in my opinion. For as powerful as cavalry is, cavalry should just instantly die. Just instantly die. Because of how cavalry work, they need to be glass cannons. But they're not. They're not glass cannons. They're a straight up cannon. While everyone else is using pistols, these guys rock up with cannons that are flying. But that's enough from me. We did get to see quite a few battles and also some cleanups, so we did see a double tiebreaker. We got to see BLK versus SVS, and then we got to see the DVD versus C-Bell on the field battle, with C-Bell taking the win. We also got to watch TNK versus BODS, with BODS winning 2-0. But we got to see EON versus OPC on the field battle, with EON winning and cleaning up on the field battle. Do you think that OPC really needs to shape up on their field battle, be a little bit more aggressive, use some more cavalry, and definitely stop leaving the enemy to their own devices? Your base is getting attacked, but half your forces are going for the B point. But that's the point. Just a recap on the BLK versus SVS. SVS taking the win 2-0. If my memory serves me correctly, but I could be wrong. Nevertheless, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. We won't get a battle tomorrow, but we'll get the battle on the Sunday and the Monday. That will finish up the scoring phase. So we have... Whoa! Oh, awesome. We have DZ versus QAT. That should break up the first and second place for their bracket. And following that, we have BMP versus CE, which is surprising since BMP... I thought BMP was disqualified, but maybe it wasn't. Nevertheless, we will probably get that, that will probably get cancelled. If it doesn't get cancelled, huzzah! If it does, damn it. Nevertheless, I hope you guys enjoyed this stream. Otherwise, my name's Azukai. Have a nice day. Bye for now.